And we're back.
Yeah, sorry about that, everyone. But yeah, we are having some technical difficulties over here. But yeah, yeah. So Henry, where were we?
We were going to talk about some games. So since Andrew is already playing games, why don't we get him on the game train here? And Andrew, you recently played another spooky, scary game that requires a lot of stealth and a lot of testicular fortitude.
Is that what you want? Is that what you want to call it?
Man, you'd have to, because I can't even think about playing this game watching the trailer. And I'm a big fan of these movies.
Yeah.
But I find them scare the crap out of me, and there's no way I could play this game. So hats off to you, sir.
Yes. So yeah, I'm also a total.
It's Kirby's Dream Land.
Yeah, Kirby's Dream Land, everyone.
I do like how Nintendo is releasing Nightmare and Dreamland on Virtual Console for Halloween.
Yes.
I'm real happy about that.
That is Nintendo's scariest game so far. So
it is. Anyway.
But yeah, so
Andrew, you're playing the new Alien game.
Yes. Why would you go and do that, silly AI dude? Sorry. He tried to start himself on fire for some reason.
Yeah, that's partner AI for
he
you.
knows where the evil is. It is within.
Yeah, exactly.
He's trying to cleanse himself.
So yeah, the other horror game that came out this month that I recently got into is Alien Isolation.
Yeah.
And
so,
yeah, man.
Yeah, that is a game, sort of like a sequel to the first film.
Yes,
I guess
it is a sequel to the first film. Takes place 15 years after the first film. A good while. Man, I got a spike through the head.
You're real good at this.
Yeah. This part is tough. Okay, they're arrow shooting and I have to stealth at the same time. This is not an easy game, guys. I will say. Also, not an easy game. Alien Isolation. That game is absolutely terrifying, and I, like you, Henry, am a complete coward. Yet my love for that original film, and also, like, I just thought that game looked too good to pass up. You know, I needed to try it, even if it scared me too much to finish it, which it didn't. I managed to finish it. I'm proud of myself.
Yeah.
I needed to try. I needed to give it a shot. I needed to get through it. Hopefully. And I did. And so that is not a game for everyone. First and foremost, if you don't like stealth, you will hate that game. If you don't like horror, you will hate that game also. If you don't like stealth and horror, then man, why would you even think about buying it? But
well,
I'm not playing that game.
How about if you, like me, don't like stealth, don't like horror, but also aren't a fan of the Aliens movies?
Then you should totally get it. So it's for you.
Yeah, it's like two negatives, except three negatives, and they cancel each other out.
Yeah, okay. Exactly.
Cool. Yeah, no, I totally respect what that game does, but yeah, I'm going to trust your opinion about it and never touch it.
Yeah, no, understandable. So yeah, it is a first person stealth game with some action. You do get guns, and you do fight against enemies other than the alien. You fight against humans, and you fight against what I consider the scariest part of the game, the Worker Joe androids. They are absolutely terrifying, and they do not screw around.
Worker Joe androids.
Yes, so you know the androids in the Alien films, how they're they're pretty much very human-like.
Yeah.
The Worker Joes are not. Well, they do not appear human, and they do not act human. Oh man, I blew myself up.
You're real bad.
This is
You're real bad at this game.
This game is not easy.
Aren't you playing it on the not recommended, more difficult difficulty?
No, I'm playing it on what the game called normal. I don't know if that's not recommended, because the only other mode is what the game considers easy. So I'm playing on normal. If I need to drop it down, I will, but man.
I think you may need to drop it down.
I don't think it's going to help me in this part, because there are things falling from the sky. I died again. There are things falling from the sky, hitting me, and I don't understand why. Graham, I don't understand why. Anything about this. So Alien Isolation, that game is real scary. The Alien,
do you understand why that game?
Yes, I understand why that game, definitely. The Alien is legitimately one of the most terrifying enemies I've encountered in any game. And
as it should be, right? Like,
yes.
That's the only way to make that film into a game, is to make one terrifying enemy and not, like, a whole bunch of enemies that you
exactly
can
like I feel like that's the thing that most of these games inspired by those films miss is like yeah, the original Alien vs Predator game was all right for the time, but I'm gonna stop trying to disarm that bomb before it keeps exploding me.
Yeah, you need. Yeah.
So so that those games are all about shooting a bunch of aliens, and I guess that's cool because that's that's what Aliens, the second film, is about. But it's not. It's never been particularly scary, and none of those games ever kind of were scary in any way. This game definitely is because they're focusing on the original film, because they are centering on a single alien that is pretty much unkillable. There's no reason to there's no way to talk about this game without talking about just how well they handle the alien. The design of it is terrifying. I died again. It's man, I don't know. I feel like I'm doing something wrong.
Andrew, it's tough to explain and play. So
no.
I will ask you a couple questions.
Please.
And see if you could just give short, quick responses. Does it feel like more like the first Alien movie, or the second Aliens movie?
Oh, well, yes, definitely the first, because
more the first.
Yeah, because I mean, like I was just saying, it's a single alien stalking you throughout this entire almost abandoned space station. It is always outside of some parts of the game. It is pretty much always there, kind of wandering around the vents and ready to pounce at any time. And you have a motion tracker, as you should in this type of game, that lets you detect motion.
Okay.
And it's especially useful against the alien because you'll be able to use it and tell when it's coming, or at least have an idea. Plus, the more you play, the better you'll kind of be able to tell, based on sound effects, based on the noises around you. You'll be able to tell when the alien's going to show up, when it's not going to show up. It is always terrifying. It is relentlessly stressful, and because of that, and my big problem with it is that it is a 20-hour game. Alien Isolation is a 20-hour long game. It took when people said that originally when the game was coming out and people were talking about it, I was like, 20 hours. It's just people being super slow with it. No, that game took me a little less than 20 hours.
That's quite long.
Yeah, it is way
for a
too
stealth
long.
game.
Way too long for a horror game that is attempting to basically stick you in a bunch of areas with essentially a single enemy for most of it. It does not mess around, but it definitely begins to outstay its overstay its welcome by the time you get to, let's say, 2/3 through the game. That's not to say it becomes less scary or less fun, I guess, if you want to call it fun.
Repetitive, maybe?
It does get a little repetitive, and they do mix things up really well. Like I said, there are definitely moments where you have to deal with androids more so than anything else, and some really good human encounters. But
I find when it comes to games overstaying its welcome, unless they're evolving and sort of showing you new gameplay modes or tricks, I feel like asking what is the point of this, right? Unless it, story-wise, RPGs obviously are like that, where you'll keep going and going and going, but there's a story to back it up. But a game like that, you think okay, well, what are they adding here? What's this extra last 5 hours really doing? Is it helping me enjoy the game? Is it making it a better game? And it doesn't sound like it is.
Yeah. So it really comes down to the last chapter in the game. I didn't touch on specifics in the review to avoid spoilers, and I'm not going to touch on specifics here, but I will just say the last chapter, for a variety of reasons, is a pain, and they really do throw way too much at you, and it also kind of really the game is very kind of, it is incredibly atmospheric, as I mentioned, but it never goes overboard with it, and there are crazy sequences, but not to the extent you'd see in, I don't know, a Call of Duty game. But the last sequence in the game is almost like it was straight out of a Call of Duty game. How crazy it gets. I'm not exaggerating. It's ridiculous, and it feels out of place. And by that point, you've already played this game for almost 20 hours or more than 20 hours, and you're just like, okay, I want this to be over. Which is a shame that it ends on that note, but I feel like everything leading up to it, for the most part, is generally really, really good, really terrifying, and the fact that they handle the stuff with the aliens so well kind of like makes up for the fact that it goes on for so long. So, I mean,
Right.
it's one of those games that you'll definitely get tired of by the end, but when you look back on it, everything that led up to it, you'll be like, yeah, this was a worthwhile experience that, you know, could have been a little shorter, a little tighter, but definitely probably one of my favorite games of the year so far. I guess so far the year's almost over, but
Yeah, it's getting there.
but yeah,
Did you play it? Did you play it in the dark with headphones on?
I don't do that. I'm not a crazy person.
Yeah, I can't. No, I can't even do that. Watching like a trailer of a game or something like that.
Yeah, the only game I did that with, again, I'm not like a horror game guy, but I definitely did that with Heavy Rain.
Oh man,
Oh yeah, Heavy Rain was awesome.
And like
Heavy Rain definitely has some. I almost said Henry Rain. That's not the name of that
Hey,
game.
it's the sequel.
Yeah,
Henry Rain.
I'd play Henry Rain.
Yeah.
I would too.
Henry
definitely
Rain,
play
consulting
that.
detective.
I would definitely play that instead of what Lucas said on Twitter, which was Henry makes a really bad argument game. That doesn't sound very fun.
I don't know. I think
No.
that sounds great.
Again, we're playtesting that. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
Needs to work out some bugs. All right, well let's talk about our last game. Graham, you have been playing a magical, wonderful, fun-looking multiplayer game.
Okay.
What is it?
What game are you referring to?
I am referring to Skylanders Trap Team.
Okay. Yes. So Skylanders Trap Team is how do I best explain this game to you? So you know how like you
Have
go
to pick
into
the broccoli guy.
Well, yes, absolutely that.
Yeah.
You know how like you walk into like a store, right?
Yes.
And like there are things for sale.
Whoa.
Yes.
stores?
I think I've
So-
seen that once or twice.
You ever been in that thing where like you walk into a store and you want to spend money on products,
I do.
right?
It happens often.
So Skylanders Trap Team is a suite of products on which you can spend money.
Okay.
And yeah, I think that's it. That's
That's
Yeah, I don't
that
think we really need
covers
to
it.
talk about it beyond that. Pretty much.
yes. Yeah, I kid a little, but the thing about the game is it's kind of embracing its status as like the game equivalent of like a Saturday morning cartoon, in that like its entire job is just to sell you more stuff.
a lot of micro transactions.
Well, I mean, macro transactions.
Macro transactions, I guess I would call it. Yeah, that was your.
You
that
have
was
to
your
go to a
complaint
store
in,
and buy them.
in your review, I guess.
Yeah. So, if this is your first Skylanders game, there's actually not anything in this game that is worse than previous titles. To a certain, well, it's not that much worse than previous titles. But it kind of is a fresh start for the series, not in gameplay wise, but like technically you can use the old figures, but really they don't care so much. So you can't unlock stuff with those figures. There's not any new abilities or anything for those figures. You just need to start with the new stuff, basically. And if you want to use your old figures, you can, but there's no real benefit. So that's kind of what's going on with that game. There are some interesting aspects to it. They've made a better version of the Skystones card game that was in Skylanders Giants 2 years ago. That's pretty cool. They've made something that's kind of like a tower defense-ish kind of thing. It's more just about like wave-based survival, but you can have help with towers that you don't have too much control over, but you can keep healed and manage and things like that.
We won't stand a chance.
Yeah, I think that's
I mean,
like
is
I am definitely getting to the fatigue point.
I felt like you were kind of there with the last game already, but
Yes.
yeah.
I really like. I was fatigued, but Swap Force was quite good.
So would you say
Toys for Bob, the developer of the first two games, took a break,
yeah?
and so they
make
developed
one?
this one.
Yeah.
But Vicarious Visions which is a kind of a mercenary developer that I actually have a fondness for.
They've done
because
some good stuff.
they generally, their job is usually to make quality experiences on low quality hardware. So like, they did stuff like they made the Game Boy Advance Tony Hawk games, and they made the Nintendo DS Rock Band games that used the little adapter thing. And for this installment, actually, they were in charge of making the tablet version of the game. So they do interesting things, and they. What is good about this game's mechanics is basically what was brought over from Swap Force. Like, they added jumping, finally. Like, yes, it doesn't do much with it, but it just makes the world feel more natural. And you can, you know, have environments that aren't completely flat. So that helps. Yeah, I mean, I don't recommend this game, but, like, it's not a bad game.
Right.
You know, like, it's about as good a Skylanders game as previous games are. It's just not stepping it up in a significant way.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like they're just going to run it into the ground and run it hard.
I think they're there.
Into the ground. Are they there already?
I think they realize they're there and that this is their cash-in year because they have added many more things to get more money from the same people.
Which is usually a good way to, like, kill not only a series but a genre.
Yes.
I mean,
right?
Activision is getting real good at this.
Yeah.
It's sad they don't play the long con. Like, you look at, like, I know it's not quite the same thing, but, like, I guess Pokemon, which also has a large amount of, like, real-life models and all that. I know it's not the same thing. But, like, Pokemon is really not all that different, I guess, the core gameplay from, you know, the first Game Boy games to, you know, the multiple sequels that it's had for years and years and years. But that's still going pretty strong.
Yeah.
But it seems to me that they stagger the Pokemon game releases on purpose for a good reason.
It's interesting that you bring up Pokemon because the one thing I will say about Skylanders that has not gotten worse is the design of the creatures.
Okay.
Like, if it weren't for the fact that all the creatures come with a price tag, right, the creatures would be awesome.
Yeah.
Like, the figures are cool things you want to have on your desk. Like, they're cool looking. They have, like, fun abilities, you know? Like, they're pretty great. Like, one of the things about this new version is that it starts releasing all these, like, mini Skylanders. All the cool old Skylanders, they make, like, little tiny versions of. They have little high-pitched voices, but you can still play as them. They're little, you can run around. Like, that's awesome. A lot of fun. You know, it's just one of those things where, like, well, I have to buy this. It's the same sort of feeling you get from free-to-play games, but then you're also spending, like, $80 up front to start playing this microtransaction game for like $8 a piece. That's the part. Like, I would rather have just, hey, sell me your product for a price and then I will just get it. But this is the thing where, like, if you want to pay up front for all of Skylanders, it's going to cost you a few hundred each time.
Man.
So there's that.
I mean, I feel like this was an incredibly cool and ambitious idea when it first came out, and then everyone was like, well, how long till they run that into the ground? And it seems like we're basically getting to that point. Or
yeah, though to be fair, I felt this way with Giants.
Yeah.
Giants was kind of nothing, and Swap Force was good. So I think.
So you think it's kind of becoming an every other year sort of thing, where that's the game you want to get,
no.
And then
I don't think you're going to get a new version every other year. It's not going to be the Call of Duty thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's just. They were able to let somebody else bring some ideas into it, but I think it's over. I think
that's a real bummer.
That said, like, Skylanders is not bad. You can play as, like, a Broccoli guy. He's an enemy. You have to trap him. But, like,
do we know? I mean, are these games selling any worse? Are the sales of the figures in the
it's
games?
kind of too early for this stuff.
It's one of those things that we won't really know until
like a month or two from now. Yeah.
I wonder how that new Disney Infinity did, or is doing.
I don't know, because you could tell as they were going up to launch, like, I think a lot of people were excited about it, but I hear, like, the buzz wasn't so great for the, like, adventures, and then you could see them panic kind of going up to launch where they realized there was a whole market that was into Disney, that wants the new Disney stuff, so they had to kind of like emphasize these like you can just buy the new Portal and like some like you get the discs and the toy box because like you know you like Disney.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
we got new Disney figures, but like there aren't any new Disney adventures in this disc, you know. So I think that part I'm not sure, you know. Like while I think Marvel's cooler, there is an audience of kids that like Disney stuff more, you know, and I don't blame them.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know if this sells to, like, frankly, like, 6-year-old girls, right? Right.
Yeah.
Like kind of 10 to 12-year-old boys is kind of the, like, Marvel demographic, I'd say, for having, like, Iron Man figures, right?
Yeah.
So, like, that's, I don't know.
There was a brief moment when this was coming out that I was like, I don't know, I might want to buy that. I don't know, but I might want to buy that. And then
I had a more than brief moment on that.
Did you actually buy it, though?
Not yet.
Okay, not yet. So this is the thing for me. When something like this is coming out, and I know for a fact that I probably shouldn't buy it, but I'm probably going to anyway.
Yeah.
I just like wait a week.
Just get it over with.
I wait a week. I get through that painful week of me wanting to play it or buy it, and then it passes, and I never think about it again.
Mm. Well, I feel like at some point they're going to clearance them out for $30 or something. At which point I might be in. That's kind of my. That's how I got into.
You love your
Skylanders.
clearance sales.
So yeah, I mean, well, just like the reason I didn't get it is not because I don't want to play it. It's because the cost is too high. So, like when I can pick up like all the cool stuff I want for like less than $60 total, or maybe if I'm weak and have free time, which I don't this time of year. But you know, like when it hits like January and I can walk in and get all the stuff and like have a fun time, then like yeah, maybe those figures are pretty cool. But yeah,
it's interesting you mentioned the cost. I mean, it's sort of a weird situation to try and factor in a cost in reviews, but I think you did a really good job in your review, Graham, where with a game like this, it's pretty much impossible to ignore money as a source of whether you'll enjoy this game or not, right?
There are some games
most
where
of the
like,
time it's not really the case, but in this one,
right.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, I'll love, like, whatever. You make a full retail game that's the best 3 hours I've ever had, and I will love that game, even if you're trying to charge full retail for it, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But, like, Skylanders is a product. It is consumerism, like, interactive consumerism. So that's what that game is.
That's too bad. I mean, we all know games are made to make companies money. We get that, but when it's sort of up in your face and impossible to, really ignore, that's a bit of a downer. There's got to be a better way to do that.
But I mean, that said, like I did not hate playing that game.
Right.
So like,
no, I think you're like I said. I think you're very fair in your review.
Yeah. Anyway. Cool. But, so we can wrap up this episode, I guess, right? Cool?
Yeah, I'm still in the same area, unfortunately, but I feel like I'm making progress.
This looks like Uncharted-y Resident Evil 4 kind of area.
Yeah, there's some green, believe it or not.
I do believe it.
Among the red.
Yes.
You'll probably do better without us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my problem was I didn't realize that the things that were shooting at me were dudes in turrets, and I had to shoot them with the sniper rifle I just got. Which makes sense if you actually take like more than 5 seconds to think about it. But because I was talking and also...
Yeah, no, I totally get it.
Yeah. But, so I apologize to everyone for getting to see the basically 2 areas in this game. But I think you get a general idea of how it works. These have both been very action-focused, which, despite some emphasis on stealth, I feel like this game might be more action-focused than I initially thought. Because it's been a lot of this in the past couple of chapters.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Fair enough.
Review forthcoming.
Yeah. Cool.
So.
All right, well, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. For Andrew and Henry, I'm Graham.
Bye-bye.